And what Ron was saying to you is that I'm going to say to everybody. This is such a simple issue. Everybody finds an excuse why not to meditate, to one degree or another. The excuses are infinite why not to meditate. It's because my cat did this, or my dog did this, or my kids did this, or my family wants this, or this person here is doing this. Everybody's got an excuse why not to meditate. Do you have any excuses, Al, ever, why not to meditate?
Yes.
Do you have some, Chris?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody does, don't they? Mm-hmm. Everybody's got excuses out there. Now, some people have unbelievable excuses. And what Ron was saying in the bottling building, which I've heard Ron say, if he said it once, he said it 1,000 times. You will give your children, Donna, an excuse to not let you meditate. Or you will use them as an excuse. Right, Ron? Mm-hmm. Or Steve will find some reason why not to meditate. Steve doesn't have any kids, so he can't use them as an excuse. It might be that he's got to get to work on time or something like that. Right? You ever have to be to work on time?
No.
Man, sign me up.
There is no bad karma in my house since I read them.
Yeah, we're not worried about your house. That's your life. That's your chaos. That's your excuse. And that's what I'm saying here. People use children. People use houses. People use cars. People use animals. People use wives. People use husbands as excuses why not to meditate. And they allow those people to put something on them and say, no, you're going to hurt my feelings if you meditate. Right, Donna? Is that what your kids are telling you? You're going to hurt my feelings if you go to Sama.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
You're going to hurt my feelings
Yeah.
if you meditate.
You're not going to do my thing.
You're not going to do my thing, you got to do my thing. And that's Edith's kids do it to her. Edith finds a million reasons why. Al may
I
do
meditate.
it. Shad may do it, you know. Do you ever have anybody telling you can't meditate?
I don't have people telling me that, no, but yeah, I come up with excuses too.
No, but don't they put things on you to make it difficult for you to do it?
Yeah, people have.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Doesn't that happen?
Uh-huh.
They say, oh, no, I'm in charge of your life right now, and my feelings are more important than what yours are or whatever, so you do mine, right?
Right.
Does anybody ever do that to you?
Uh-huh.
Is that fair for somebody to do that to you?
No.
Would it be good for you to tell them to kiss off?
Yeah.
If
As long as it...
you want to find yourself. Now, if you can't if people can't get enough control in their lives to meditate, and all they're going to do is come up with excuses the rest of their life, and they can't tell people to, hey, cut me some slack. Gracie's really good. Aren't you, Gracie?
Depends on the topic.
No, about me meditating.
I hope. Except for the vacuum cleaner.
But, yeah, well, I can meditate with the vacuum cleaner going. It doesn't. I don't even hear it when I meditate. In fact, it's a good background noise for meditation. It is, really, because you don't have to... It's a constant sound. And it's in the background, and you can meditate just perfectly. Does Ron vacuum? Are you
No.
vacuuming when Ron's meditating?
No, but I run the...
We've
got the fan. He's always up.
You turn it on when you meditate?
No, I turn it on when I go to sleep.
Oh.
No, it's just good background noise. That's always how I felt.
Oh, yeah, it's a background noise. And it blocks out all the other noises, and you can sleep real well or meditate real well or whatever. It's not fair for people to impose themselves on your essence or in your soul or your life. And you need to allow people to know that it's not fair. It's not fair for people to I ask people to send me emails when they've got statements or questions. The reason being is because I can answer their question appropriately in an email rather than being confronted with it. Has anybody ever heard of chi?
Mhm.
What's chi?
Life force energy.
Life force energy. You've got it. Do you have any?
Yeah, I have a lot.
Good, me too. And do you like yours being screwed with?
No, I don't.
Neither do I. People like to screw with mine. They like to stand in my face and say things, you know, to me, or ask me questions and stuff like that. And it doesn't hurt my chi, but it disturbs it, and I don't like being disturbed. And so send me an email if you've got a question or a statement, please. And because what it is like if you're walking down the sidewalk and some dog comes up and pees on you just because it wants to pee on you. Now, the dog may have a perfectly good reason. I mean, really needs to pee on something bad. But I try to move my leg out of the way and not let it do it. And as long as you allow people in life to do that to you, Edith, you'll never ever be able to meditate. As long as you allow your kids to do that to you, Donna, you'll never ever be able to
I
meditate.
meditate.
And as long as anybody allows them to do that in whatever way, you'll never be able to meditate. Because meditation's in all different degrees. It starts out with just a little sitting meditation, saying a word. Then it goes into an advanced meditation where you transcend with a couple of words. And then you go into a silent state. Then you go on beyond the silent state into another realm. And you really transcend back into creation. And I hope all of you find that meditation someday, so that when you are able to incarnate again, that you will be able to catapult forward and be in control of your lives rather than worrying about your house all the time. Or your kids. Or the problems that life confronts you with. And so, Ron didn't say anything to you bad, Edith. All Ron did was repeat something that he's been told to tell everybody for the last 25 years, right, Ron?
Yeah.
Meditate and don't make excuses, right? That's all you were saying, right?
Get it together.
Pardon?
Take responsibility of your own life.
Take responsibility of your own, and don't let people get in your chi. Don't let people get in your chi. Don't let people get in your chi. Just shut up and listen. Now we're going to have class and listen. You're supposed to be listening, Edith. You have a very difficult time listening, don't you? Your lips are always flapping, nothing coming out that makes sense. That was a cartoon I saw when I was a little kid. I've always remembered that line. You ever seen the chicken hawk and the chicken?
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen that? That's what he said to the chickens. The big giant chicken said to the little chicken hawk, "Your lips are flapping, but nothing's coming out that makes sense." Okay, let's have class. And let's all listen to what Bartle Thodol has to say. It's really a good book. Don't you think, Ron? It really is full of wisdom. What page are we on?
Well,
182.
83, I have the choosing of the room door.
182?
3.
183?
If you're in this book, or, well, I don't have
It's
the
the same.
cover.
It's the
The old
same.
one?
Is it the same as that? Okay, great, thanks.
Edith, I'm sorry I have to use harsh words with you, but you have a difficult time listening. You like to talk. And that's why you miss so many things and get confused. Because you don't listen. If you'd listen, life wouldn't be so confusing for you or so chaotic.
Okay, we're on the choosing of the womb door. Instructions to the officiant. There are nevertheless many classes of those who, though reminded and instructed to direct their thoughts one-pointedly, are not liberated, owing to the great force of evil karmic obstructions, and because of being unaccustomed to pious deeds, and of being much accustomed to impious deeds throughout the eons.
Now, what does that mean, Chris? Eons.
Large, very, very large periods of time.
Could that be the 8,400,000 incarnations
Yes.
that this person has been through? And they're talking to the officiant right here, and they're saying people that haven't incarnated at this point in time or been liberated possibly could be because they haven't turned any of their attention in life towards pious means probably generous, would you say, deeds? What would the word pious mean in this context?
Pious means wholesome or good.
Wholesome and
creative.
good, generous deeds at this point in time. And they weren't accustomed to it because they were just so lost in the world and the chaos of it. And people, it's very, very common for people to be lost in the chaos of the world. I mean, look at all those Mormons here in town. They are living a life of chaos. Wouldn't you say, Donna? Wasn't it chaos when you were in it?
Oh, absolutely.
And they want to drag you guys into it. And it's very difficult to escape the chaos of the world. And the Baptists do it too, don't they? I think all the Christians, and then the Hindus, not as bad, but those Muslims, boy, they've really got a lot of chaos going on in the world. And then the people that aren't religious at all, they have an immense amount. All they're trying to do is gather material things, and it's chaos what to do to get it. Look at that cat. What a classic, huh? He's surrendering to you, Shaz. Until he gets ready to bite you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Therefore, if the womb door hath not been closed ere this, a teaching also for the selection of a womb door is going to be given hereinafter. Now, invoking the aid of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, repeat the refuge. And once more calling the deceased by name thrice, speak as follows. O nobly born so-and-so, listen. Although the above setting face-to-face teachings have been given one-pointedly, yet thou hast not understood them. Therefore, if the womb door hath not been closed, it is almost time to assume a body. Make thy selection of the womb according to this best teaching. Listen attentively and hold it in mind.
Now, what they're saying here, if this is a lesson to be lived while you're alive now, and if you can learn it while you're alive now, they're saying listen attentively and don't think about anything. And hold it in your mind, one-pointedly. If it's very difficult if you're not able, while you're alive, to listen without thinking. Most people, when they're listening, they're thinking thoughts about what's being said. When they're hearing words, they're analyzing, they're taking little trips off to the side. Well, what if this, and this, or he said this, therefore this, and they jump to a lot of conclusions and they go off on this little path. And so it makes it very difficult for them to really hear what's being said because they're adding color to it by their thoughts. They're coloring what's being said. And so what he's saying here is you've got to be able to, while you're alive, listen one-pointedly without any thought and hold your mind. And this is why you want to practice meditating, so that you'll be good. Good and strong and mastering of yourself. So that your children don't have power over you. That your wife can't beat you up. Your husband can't torture you, can he? With a couch. You know? Or anything like that. Or your kids can't get under your skin. They'll get under even if you're good at holding your mind. Still, they find a way. This is really important to be able to listen without adding one thought. Are you able to do that, Edith?
That's right.
No, but were you able to do it just then? Without thinking? Good. Let's go on.
The premonitory visions of the place of rebirth. O nobly born, now the signs and characteristics of the place of birth will come. Recognize them. In observing the place of birth, choose the continent too. Footnote: in the description of these continents which follows, Tibetan names are given. In our introduction, the Sanskrit names are given along with the complementary description. If to be born in the eastern continent of Lupa, a lake adorned with swans, male and female, floating thereon, will be seen. Go not there. Recollect the revulsion against going there. There's a footnote. Rebellion or revulsion. By recollecting the revulsion, the mental attitude which will oppose entering there, the deceased is put on his guard. If one goeth there, that continent, though endowed with bliss and ease, is one wherein religion doth not predominate. Therefore enter not therein. If to be born in the southern continent of Jambu, grand delightful mansions will be seen. Enter therein if one is to enter. If to be born in the western continent of Balang Chod, a lake adorned with horses, male and female, grazing on its shores, will be seen. Go not even there, but return here. Although wealth and abundance are there, that being a land wherein religion doth not prevail, enter not therein. If to be born in the northern continent of Dominion, a lake adorned with the male and female cattle grazing on its shores, or trees round about it, will be seen. Although duration of life and merits are there, yet that continent, too, is one wherein religion doth not predominate. Therefore enter not. These are the premonitory signs or visions of the taking rebirth in those continents. Recognize them, enter not. Paragraph. This paragraph is misplaced in the manuscript, having been copied as coming after will be seen in the paragraph immediately above following our rendering. If one is to be born as a deva, delightful temples or mansions built of various precious metals also will be seen. Footnote: the Christian conception of heaven as a definite place, having streets of gold and walls of precious stones, probably owes its origin to pre-Christian beliefs parallel to the Hindu and Buddhist beliefs concerning the heaven of the devas. Nirvana, misleadingly, has been called the Buddhist heaven. A heaven implies a place and samsaric phenomena, whereas nirvana is non-samsaric, is beyond all phenomena, being the unbecome, the unborn, the unmade, the unformed, a concept altogether foreign to popular or exoteric Christianity and found only in esoteric Christianity, i.e. Gnosticism, which very unwisely the councils of exoteric Christianity have officially repudiated as being heretical.
Can I interrupt just for a second? Steve, do they, in the Baptist church, do they talk about mansions in heaven, gold paved streets and stuff?
Of course.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Because Donna, did you at one time believe that the Mormons were going to the only heaven that had mansions and gold paved streets and stuff like that? And that the other religions didn't have that, right?
Right.
Is that what the Mormon church leads you to believe?
Yes.
Isn't that, do you think that most Mormons believe that they're the only ones going where there's mansion and gold paved streets?
Right.
This is 3,600 years old, this book. And this is long before Christianity came about. But these guys back then were talking about golden paved streets and mansions and everything. And so the Mormons just sort of copied something, don't you think? But they lead everybody to believe, don't they, that they're the only ones that know about that. and the right handshake to get there, don't they?
Isn't it in the Bible?
It probably is in the Bible, but they emphasize it more so in the Mormon Church. Their whole doctrine is based around getting a mansion with a gold
Oh yeah.
street in
Same.
front.
I think it's all Christianity.
Well, lots of mansions, not just one,
And crowns
and lots of
pearly
wives
gates.
and lots of kids and stuff like
I
that,
don't know that.
and diapers and things. You know, everybody gets to be everybody who doesn't go there gets to be a servant for the ones that make it, right? And if you pay your tithe in and obey the Mormon rules, automatically God will click his fingers and transmute you into a person like him. Isn't that correct? And you don't have to have any problems, right? From then on. Okay, so we want to make sure that we got everybody's doctrine down here.
One may enter therein, so enter therein. If to be born as an Asura, either a charming forest will be seen, or else circles of fire revolving in opposite directions. Recollect the revulsion, and do not enter therein by any means. If to be born among the beasts, footnote, or as in the text on page 194, wherein the clue to the esotericism underlying the references to birth amongst beasts is given, amongst human beings resembling the brute order. Rock caverns and deep holes in the earth and mists will appear. Enter not therein. If to be born among pretas, desolate treeless plains and shallow caverns, jungle glades, and forest wastes will be seen. If one goeth there, taking birth as a preta, one will suffer various pangs of hunger and thirst. Recollect the revulsion, and do not go there by any means. Exert great energy not to enter therein. If to be born in hell, songs like wailings due to evil karma will be heard. One will be compelled to enter therein unresistingly. Lands of gloom, black houses and white houses, and black holes in the earth, and black roads along which one hath to go will appear. If one goeth there, one will enter into hell, and suffering unbearable pains of heat and cold, one will be very long in getting out of it. Another footnote. There will be no time when one can get out of it. Buddhism and Hinduism, too, does not postulate eternal condemnation to a state of hell, and is, in this respect, more logical than Christian theology, which has in the past postulated it. Go not there into the midst of that. It hath been said, exert thine energy to the utmost. This is needed now. The protection against the tormenting furies. O nobly born, although one liketh it not, nevertheless, being pursued from behind by karmic tormenting furies. Tormentors or life-takers, used here to mean tormenting furies. One feeleth compelled involuntarily to go on, and with tormenting furies in the front, and life-cutters as a vanguard leading one, and darkness and karmic tornadoes, and noises and snow and rain, and terrifying hailstorms, and whirlwinds of icy blasts occurring, there will arise the thought of fleeing from them. Thereupon, by going to seek refuge because of fear, one beholdeth the aforesaid visions of great mansions, rock caverns, earth caverns, jungles, and lotus blossoms, which close on entering them, and one escapeth by hiding inside one of such places, and fearing to come out therefrom, and thinking to go out is not good now, and fearing to depart therefrom, one will feel greatly attracted to one's place of refuge, which is the womb, fearful lest, by going out, the awe and terror of the bardo will meet one, and afraid to encounter them. If one hide oneself within the place or womb chosen, one will thereby assume a very undesirable body and suffer various sufferings. That condition is an indication that evil spirits or demons are interfering with one. And a footnote, that is to say, interfering in such a way as to prevent birth, or a good birth. For this time there is a profound teaching. Listen and heed it. At that time, when the tormenting furies will be in pursuit of thee, and when awe and terror will be occurring, or any other tutelary deity, I'll read the footnote in a minute, if thou hast such perfect of form, huge of body, of massive limbs, wrathful and terrifying in appearance, capable of reducing to dust all mischievous spirits. The footnote, each of these three deities who dawn in the Chunyad Bardo is held to be particularly potent as an exorciser of evil spirits. Visualize it instantaneously. The gift waves and the power of its grace will separate thee from the tormenting furies, and thou wilt obtain the power to select the womb door. This is the vital art of the very profound teaching. Therefore bear it thoroughly well in mind. O nobly born, the Dhyani and other deities are born of the power of samadhi or meditation. Pretas or unhappy spirits or shades, and malignant spirits of certain orders are those who, by changing their feeling or mental attitude while in the intermediate state, assumed that very state which they thereafter retained, and became pretas, evil spirits, and rakshasas, possessed of the power of shape-shifting. All pretas who exist in space, who traverse the sky and the 80,000 species of mischievous sprites, have become so by changing their feelings while in the mental body on the Bardo plane. There's a long footnote. Owing to having arrived at the false concept that the intermediate state is a desirable or fixed state of existence, all dwellers therein, sprites.
Can I stop right there? Read that sentence again, and everybody listen to it carefully.
The first one there?
Yeah, that first sentence you just read.
Owing to having arrived at the false concept that the intermediate state is a desirable or fixed state of existence, all dwellers therein, sprites, pretas, demons, and deceased human entities, becoming thereby habituated to the Bardo, their normal evolution is retarded.
Okay. What that is saying is what we've been talking about. Right, Steve? That everybody that gets caught up in their propensities and all of these things that are going on in their life and everything aren't able to meditate, they're going to have a problem with their evolution. They aren't going to evolve. You're stuck. And there's no problem with not evolving. It's okay to not evolve. It's just as good as evolving. But you ought to be aware of the condition your condition's in.
Like the song said.
Like the song says. You ought to be aware of the condition your condition is in. That's why I always tell everybody, if you can't get it here, you better get down the road to a place where you can get it. Start going to some Buddhist temple or something like that where you can really learn to meditate. Or some Hindu temple where you can really learn to meditate. Or some other group. Or do it alone or whatever. If this place makes it impossible for you to meditate, you ought to go be alone and meditate or whatever, so that you can know the condition your condition's in. Because some of the things that I hear people saying, it seems to me that their attention is so locked into their chaos and their problems and their non-meditative state that they are struggling for a breath of silence. Wouldn't you say, Shad?
Yeah,
That the world seems like it's struggling for a breath of silence.
I would certainly say that,
And not many people ever have it, do they?
yeah. No, I don't think people even realize
How bad
what
it
to look
is.
for. Right,
They're in a hell and they don't even know it.
right.
They're in a living hell right now.
They think it's normal life.
They think it's normal. You got it. But because they don't have much silence.
Right.
They don't have much peace at all. Pilar made some instant interesting statements about she would like a gentle, peaceful path, which is very, very good. And I would suggest that for everybody, a gentle, peaceful path. And sometimes when people are not on a gentle, peaceful path, they believe that they are, you have to talk to them and get their attention, like I talked to Edith. You have to insult them sometimes. to get them to stop for just a second and listen. Do I insult you, Edith?
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean to insult you, but you make me insult you. To get you to stop thinking for just a second so that you won't talk, so that you won't think, so that you can experience silence long enough, so that you can taste it long enough so you can come back to it and be able to find it, so you know the condition your condition's in, so that you'll say, wow, I never knew that there was such a place like that. Such a place as silence as that. Right? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on.
According to the most enlightened of the lamas, whenever a spirit is called up, as in such spirit evocations as are nowadays common throughout the West, that spirit, through contact with this world and the prevailing traditional animalistic beliefs concerning the hereafter, being strengthened in the illusion that the bardo is a state wherein real spiritual progress is possible, makes no attempt to quit it. The spirit called up ordinarily describes the bardo, which is preeminently the realm of illusion, in which it is a dweller, more or less after what it had believed whilst in the fleshly body concerning the hereafter. For just as a dreamer in the human world lives over again in the dream state the experience of the waking state, so the inhabitant of the bardo experiences hallucinations in karmic accord with the content of his consciousness created by the human world. His symbolic visions, as the Bardo Thodol repeatedly emphasizes, are but the psychic reflexes of thought forms carried over from earth life as mental deposits or seeds of karma.
Does that make sense to everybody? It really makes sense to me. Gracie's quivering back there. What is that saying, Gracie?
It says that the illusions that you create while you're alive, of what we think life is right now, are going to be involved in our bardo.
Exactly. The same story. Edith will be struggling with her kids over her house, and Donna will be doing something with her kids, I don't know what. Trying to avoid them, trying to hide from them or something like that. And what will you be doing, Chad? If you died today? The same thing you're doing now, right?
Yeah.
Making it to work, making it home, taking care of all the things of life, right?
Yeah.
Do you find moments of peace
When I stop.
when you stop? Do you get a chance to stop very often?
I take moments, yeah.
But you're able to do it, aren't you?
Uh-huh.
And so you know the condition of your condition. You're capable of doing it, right?
Right.
Don't you feel happy that you're capable of doing
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Have you become more capable since you started coming here?
Oh, yeah. I
You were-
wasn't even aware of it before.
You
I
thought
started
you were
coming.
capable before, didn't you?
It wasn't even a question.
Before, right?
Right. I mean, it was a totally non-existent area.
Right.
This is said to explain why none but very exceptional spirits, when evoked, have any rational philosophy to offer concerning the world in which they exist. They are regarded as being merely the playthings of karma, lacking in mental coherence and stability of personality, more often than not, as being senseless ghosts or psychic shells which have been cast off by the consciousness principle and which, when coming into rapport with the human medium, are galvanized into automaton-like life. It is true that spirit evocation of a kind is practiced in Tibet, as throughout Mongolia and China, by lamas, who form a class of oracular priests consulted on important problems of political policy even by the Dalai Lama himself. But the spirits called up are tutelary deities of a low order called the executive order. Sounds like our government.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Meaning one awaiting. Okay. And never intentionally the spirits or ghosts of men or women recently deceased. Some of these badods are, so the Tibetans believe, the spirits of lamas and devotees who have failed, often through practicing black magic, to obtain spiritual enlightenment when in the human world, or who otherwise, in the matter described in the text here, have been diverted from the normal path of progress. Thus, in many instances, they have become demonical and malignant spirits, whose progress has been arrested, not by being bound to the earth plane through having been called up by mediums soon after their decease, but naturally through very evil karma. Such badods, thus often presenting themselves with ordinary spirits of the dead, are as obsessing demons, said to do much harm mentally and psychically to the untrained medium and clients, insanity and moral irresponsibility not infrequently resulting. For these reasons, the lamas maintain that psychic research should be conducted only by masters of the occult or magical sciences, and not indiscriminately by the guru-less multitude. In Sikkim, where our translation was made, necromancy, precisely like that now practiced in the West, has been practiced for unknown centuries, as it still is. The Lepchas, descendants of the primitive races of Sikkim, who still form a large part of the rural population, are as thoroughly animistic in their worships as the American red men, and largely through their influence the evocation of the dead has become rather widespread among the Sikkimese Buddhist lay folk, many of whom are of both Tibetan and Lepcha blood. Similarly, in Buddhist Bhutan, such spirit evocation is common. In both countries, however, the lamas strenuously, though rather ineffectually, oppose it. It is said that the retardation of a bardo-bound spirit may be for any time from 500 to 1,000 years, and in exceptional cases for ages. All the while, escape from the bardo being prevented, the deceased can neither pass on to a paradise realm nor be reborn in the human world. Ultimately, however, the womb will be entered and the bardo come to an end. At this time, if one can recollect the great symbol teachings concerning the voidness, that will be best. If one be not trained in that, train the mental powers, footnote, powers elsewhere in our text, being rendered as faculties, into regarding all things as illusion or maya. Even if this be impossible, be not attracted by anything. By meditating upon the tutelary deity, the great compassionate one, Buddhahood will be obtained in the Sambhogakaya. The alternative choosing supernormal birth or womb birth. If, however, O nobly born, thou hast, because of the influence of karma, to enter into a womb, the teaching for the selection of the womb door will be explained now. Listen. Do not enter into any sort of womb which may be come by. I'll read that again. Do not enter into any sort of womb which may be come by. If compelled by tormenting furies to enter, meditate upon Hayagriva. Since thou now possessest a slender supernormal power of foreknowledge, all the places of birth will be known to thee, one after another. A footnote. In a series of visions, the knower will become aware of the lot or destiny associated with each womb or place of birth seen. Here again we are reminded of the episode in the 10th book of Plato's Republic describing the band of Greek heroes in the other world choosing their bodies for the next incarnation. Choose accordingly. There are two alternatives: the transference of the consciousness principle to a pure Buddha realm, and the selection of the impure samsaric womb door, to be accomplished as follows. Supernormal birth by transference to a paradise realm. In the first, the transference to a pure paradise, the projection is directed by thinking or meditating thus. Alas, how sorrowful it is that I, during all the innumerable kalpas, since illimitable, beginningless time, until now, have been wandering in the quagmire of samsara. Oh, how painful that I have not been liberated into Buddhahood by knowing the consciousness to be the self hitherto ere this. Footnote. should we consider consciousness in this context to be the essential or true consciousness, i.e. the subconsciousness, and this meaning is implied. The passage would be in direct accord with the psychology of the West, which, on the basis of much accumulated data, might very well postulate that the subconsciousness, being the storehouse of all memory records from this life or from hypothetical past lives, is the real self, the bed in which flows on unbrokenly the life flux from one state of existence to another, and which, when transmuted by the alchemy of perfect enlightenment, becomes the supra-mundane consciousness, i.e. the Buddha consciousness. Now doth this sansara disgust me, horrify me, sicken me. Now hath the hour come to prepare to flee from it. I myself will so act as to be born in the happy Western realm, at the feet of the Buddha Amitabha. Footnote: here, as elsewhere through this treatise, the Buddha Amitabha is to be regarded not as a personal deity, but as the divine power or principle inherent in or emanating from the happy Western realm. Miraculously from amidst a lotus blossom. Thinking thus, direct the resolutions or wish earnestly to that realm, or likewise to any realm thou mayst desire. The preeminently happy realm, or the thickly formed realm, or the realm of those of long hair. Footnote: this is the paradise of Vajrapani, and is not a Buddha realm.
I forgot the second half of that first.
No, but no.
That this view is in keeping with the recorded teachings of the Buddha
Yeah.
himself. Halfway down right there.
Oh! I guess I did leave that out. Okay. That this view is in keeping with the recorded teachings of the Buddha himself is evident from the something of the something, wherein he expounds the yogic method of recovering memories innate in the subconsciousness. Sobhita, one of the Buddha's disciples, was declared by the Buddha himself to be preeminent in ability to remember former existences, being credited with ability to recall systematically his former existences throughout 500 kalpas. And in the same Bhagga, the Buddha names, from among his female disciples, Buddha Kapilani as being preeminent in ability to trace lineage of prior human bodies. Okay. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go back and read this. Thinking thus, direct the resolution or wish earnestly to that realm, or likewise to any realm thou mayst desire. The preeminently happy realm, or the thickly formed realm, or the realm of those of long hair, or the illimitable vihara of the lotus radiance. There's a footnote. This is the realm wherein the great guru Padmasambhava, here called Urgyan, now reigns, in Urgyan's presence. Or direct thy wish to any realm which thou desirest most, in undistracted one-pointedness of mind. By doing so, birth will take place in that realm instantaneously. Or if thou desirest to go to the presence of Maitreya in the Tushita heavens, there's a footnote. This person's the next Bodic world teacher, now abides his time in the Tushita heavens, where he reigns as king. For the hour hath struck for me here in the intermediate state. Birth will be obtained miraculously inside a lotus blossom in the presence of Maitreya. Footnote: birth from within a lotus blossom in the Tushita heavens, as in the Deva world, esoterically implies pure birth, that is, birth without entrance into a womb birth being considered impure.
That's the birth you would probably like to shoot for.
What about a cabbage?
A cabbage is fine, as long as it's an artificial womb.
Okay.
Without a regular womb door. But if that's what you want to be, it's a cabbage. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's a lotus blossom. I would say maybe it might be a tet tube.
I was just thinking of Cabbage Patch Kids.
Right. A tet tube where it's artificially inseminated and put in there, artificial womb, where you would come out of that, would be an advanced world, a great leap forward in evolution.
Womb birth return to the human world. If, however, such a supernormal birth be not possible, and one delighteth in entering a womb or hath to enter, there is a teaching for the selection of the womb door of impure samsara. Listen. Looking with thy supernormal power of foresight over the continents as above, choose that in which religion prevaileth and enter therein. If birth is to be obtained over a heap of impurities, footnote, that is, the sperm and the ovum in the impregnated womb. That's putting it pretty blank. Impurities are the sperm and the ovum. A sensation that it is sweet smelling will attract one towards that impure mass, and birth will be obtained thereby. Whatsoever they, the wombs or visions, may appear to be, do not regard them as they are or seem, and by not being attracted or repelled, a good womb should be chosen. In this, too, since it is important to direct the wish, direct it thus. I thought I ought to take birth as a universal emperor, or as a Brahmin, like a great sal tree. And there's a footnote. One of the hardwood forest trees of India growing to great size. The Tibetan Book word for Brahmin is Tamsi. The ancient Indians regarded the sal tree with its splendid foliage and beautiful blossoms as the best of trees, and for the Buddhists, it is sanctified by the birth and death of the enlightened one which took place under its protecting shade. Or as the son of an adept in Siddhic powers. Another footnote. Oh, no. Or in a spotless hierarchical line, or in the caste of a man who is filled with religious faith, and being born so, he be endowed with great merit, so as to be able to serve all sentient beings. Thinking thus, direct thy wish and enter into the womb. At the same time, emit thy gift waves of grace or goodwill upon the womb which thou art entering, transforming it thereby into a celestial mansion. Footnote. The meaning may otherwise be put thus. By exercise of thy supernormal powers, visualize as a celestial mansion the womb thou art entering. And believing that the conquerors and their sons or bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, footnote, these are the 4 cardinal points, the 4 midway points, and the nadir and zenith, and the tutelary deities, especially the great compassionate one, are conferring power thereon, pray unto them and enter the womb. In selecting the womb door thus, there is a possibility of error. Through the influence of karma, good wombs may appear bad, and bad wombs may appear good. Such error is possible. At that time, too, the art of the teaching being important, thereupon do as follows. Even though a womb may appear good, do not be attracted. If it appear bad, have no repulsion towards it. To be free from repulsion and attraction, or from the wish to take or to avoid, to enter in the mood of complete impartiality, is the most profound of arts. Excepting only for the few who have had some practical experience in psychical development, it is difficult to get rid of the remnants of the disease of evil propensities.
I have a question. What's the difference between partiality and indifference? Is the difference you can't tell the difference between two things, and in partiality you can see the two, but you don't really choose one or the other?
That sounds logical, yeah.
Because I was talking earlier about being indifferent, which is a bad thing. This is saying impartiality is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Instructions to the efficient. Therefore, if unable to part with the attraction and repulsion, those of least mentality and of evil karma will be liable to take refuge amongst brutes. or esoterically amongst rooms of brute-like human beings. The way to repel therefrom is to call the deceased by name again thus: O nobly born, if thou art not able to rid thyself of attraction and repulsion, and know not the art of selecting the womb door, whichever of the above visions may appear, call upon the precious Trinity and take refuge therein. Pray unto the great compassionate one. Walk with thy head erect. Know thyself in the bardo. Cast away all weakness and attraction towards thy sons and daughters, or any relations left behind thee. They can be of no use to thee. Enter upon the white light path of the Devas, or upon the yellow light path. Footnote: the text here contains, instead of yellow light, blue light, evidently as in like instances above, through error in copying, of human beings. Enter into the great mansions of precious metals and into the delightful gardens. Instructions to the officiant. Repeat that addressed to the deceased 7 times over. Then there should be offered the invocation of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The path of good wishes, giving protection from fears in the bardo. The root words or verses of the bardo. And the rescuer or path of good wishes for saving from the ambuscades or dangerous narrow passageway of the bardo. Footnote: these 4 prayers are given in the appendix. These are to be read over thrice. The Thodal, which liberateth the body aggregate. Another footnote. The aggregate of a living human body, according to some Tibetan systems of yoga, is composed of 27 parts. The 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. The 5 skandhas: body aggregate, sensation aggregate, feelings aggregate, volition aggregate, consciousness aggregate. 3. The 5 airs: downward air, warmth, equalizing air, the pervader, upward moving air, life-holding air. 4. The 5 sense organs: nose, ears, eyes, tongue, skin. 5. The 6 faculties: sight, smell, hearing, tasting, perception, reasoning. And 6. The mentality. These 27 parts constitute the impermanent personality. Behind them all stands the subconsciousness, the knower, which, unlike the personality, is the principle capable of realizing nirvana. Some portions of the text of the Thodal are made into talismans and attached to the body, both of the living and dead, and at the time of a person's death are either cremated or interred with the corpse, the popular belief being that thus liberation is conferred upon the body aggregate. The Astrology for the Dead, a Tibetan work in many versions, for determining, by using the moment of death as a basis for astrological calculations, the appropriate time, place, and method for the disposal of the corpse, and the after-death realm to which the deceased is destined, and the land and condition in which he will be reborn on earth, prescribes such use of the Thodal. Should also be read out. Then the right which conferreth it self-liberation in virtue of propensity should be read too. And there's a footnote. The title of a metrical version in brief form of the Bardo Thodal, which, being easy to memorize and thereafter recite as a matter of habit, is referred to as liberating, because of such acquired habit or propensity on the part of the deceased, it being supposed that the deceased knows the ritual by heart and that its reading will remind him of it and thereby bring about his liberation.
Thank you.